Welcome to Rooptown Stories,
Welcome, everybody.
a podcast featuring you.
Well, today it's featuring
Us.
That's true.
That's so cheesy.
Well, we said it at the same time. Mm-hmm. It was not even
practiced for
planned. No, we
hours.
did not. We're kind of clueless a little bit. But so this episode is about us, as we mentioned.
My name's Brittany.
And my name is Daniel. And our last name is Weidauer.
If you want to say it American, you say Wide Hour.
But say it German, it's Weidauer.
We're from Germany, but more on that later.
That's right. And as you can tell, we are making a podcast called Rooptown Stories.
This is a podcast, as we have said on the trailer, featuring the people of Susanville, featuring you, because we have a heart for Susanville. I'm actually originally from Susanville. And anytime I've lived somewhere else, I've been so homesick because there's just something super special about Susanville. So with that being said, we want to foster a love and appreciation of Susanville. And we want to help everybody else here realize that we all have something to share and to give to our home here in Susanville.
That's right. And as Brittany mentioned, it is her hometown. And for me, I have a totally, completely different connection to Susanville because I was not born and raised here, and I was not born and raised in the U.S. I am German, and I've lived there for basically my whole life.
Except for the 1 year he lived in Los Angeles.
That's right.
Which is where we met.
That's right. Which was in
12 years ago.
2010. So almost 13 years ago now. We met at a place called the Dream Center, which is like a nonprofit organization / church in LA. And from the first time I saw Brittany.
Okay, I said we don't have to give everybody backstory.
I just gotta.
He was smitten.
I was crushing hard. So.
Okay, fast forward.
I know. I just want to say that. Okay.
Fast forward, I spontaneously bought a ticket to Germany. Well, I mean, we were long distance dating, but it was pretty spontaneous that I bought a ticket to visit him, a one-way ticket to visit him in Germany. And I stayed there for 7.5 years.
And we got married in 2015, and we have 3 kids now, and moved back to Susanville last year in June.
Yes.
That's the quick rundown of our story, I guess.
And we felt like Susanville is the place for us in this season of our life. My family's here, but Daniel is not tied to a job here. He works remotely. And I homeschool the kids, so we could technically live anywhere we want. But we choose Susanville because it is a gem of a place.
It really is. And I have to say, so a lot of things here are new to me, obviously. I mean, I've been here. We got married here, actually, at the old courthouse. I've been here a few times before we moved here. But now getting to know the town and getting to know people and stuff like that, it really, like every day I like it more.
So this is a good segue into my question.
Oh, okay.
Why do you like Susan? Do you like Susanville?
Well, that's
Yes.
what
Why
I just
do you
said.
like it / love it?
So, okay, there are a few things. Mm-hmm. For one, just like where Susanville is, I mean, I've always loved the U.S. and I've always loved, California ever since coming here for the first time. And I just love where Susanville is even located in California, Northern California, like on the edge of the mountains and on the edge of the desert. That's really beautiful because I love nature. And I've always had a thing for...
American small town?
American small town. Yeah, even like the history like of your nation. And so it's kind of cool to be here and just the whole vibe of the town. I really like it. I really do. I think like if I was here, like if I would have visited when I was still a boy, would have been awesome. I would have loved it. Yeah. And I also have to say, so Americans have this thing where they make it, at least from my experience, where they make it really easy for you to become part of a community. You guys are very open and welcoming, and I've always appreciated that about Americans. Mm-hmm. And so it's been very, very easy to find friends, and we have a great church, and we just are becoming more part of the community, and that's really cool to find our place here. So yeah, but there are tons of things that I could say that I love about Susanville. It's a great town.
And what would you improve about Susanville?
Well, with this podcast, as you mentioned earlier, we want to foster a love and appreciation for Susanville, and I hope that's something that we can improve while being here.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
growing up, I've always heard, it's basically the grass is greener on the other side kind of talk. But I know personally from living in another country that talk is very common. Like, people were so shocked that I came from California to Germany or whatever. Why would you live in this small village? But, the grass is always greener. So you hear that kind of talk here in Susanville about why it sucks here and blah, blah, blah. But there's always beauty to be found if you open up your eyes to see it.
Yeah, totally. But you know what? The grass is actually greener in Germany. Because there's more.
That is true.
It rains there a lot. So
Yep.
Yes. What about you? What do you love about
what I
Susanville?
love about it. Oh, I love it. It's my home for one. And I love, it's very beautiful here. When I was in Germany, I longed for the nature here, the rugged mountains, the vast wilderness. Compared to German standards, it was very vast wilderness. But now coming back here, I miss the German nature a lot. But I still, you asked me what I love about Susanville.
It's true.
I love the nature here. I love the mountains. And I feel like I've said before that Susanville is it's being hugged. It's getting a hug from the mountains. Like the mountains are hugging the town.
That's really nice.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess, I don't know, why do I love Susanville?
Well, it's home.
It is home. And I love that it's it's not convenient if you have to go do something else that is not in Susanville. But if you don't have to go do something else, you have everything you need right here. And I love that it's just Susanville and not a bunch of other things all around. I love that it's a small town. I just love it.
That's good.
Just do. I should have thought about my answer to that.
Well, it was a good answer. So what would you
What would
improve?
I change? What would I improve? I love the time period that a lot of our buildings come from. And what I would improve is those buildings being restored to beauty again, because a lot of them are unoccupied. A lot of them are in shambles. Shambles.
It's very drastic.
So drastic.
Well, they could be improved.
They could be
yes.
very much.
That's true.
So I would love to see. I just want to keep laughing. I would love to see every building occupied and renovated and restored with, I don't know, awesome local businesses inside, or even. Okay, so in Germany, there's all these super old buildings and super old, and there's just totally normal stores. It'd be like having a Rite Aid inside the uptown buildings here. And so I don't know. I think there's more use for these old buildings than what first meets the eye.
Yep.
Anyways, so I would just love to see Susanville restored, I guess. There are a lot of good parts. Restored sounds like it's totally ruined. It's not.
Susanville improved.
Yeah, but how? That's what the answer. That's what I'm talking about. So yeah, I have this dream and vision of people establishing businesses in these buildings and renovating them and restoring them and bringing in really awesome, whatever, coffee shops or cool stuff like that.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah. So next, we have a couple of questions for each other. And just for the listeners, this is supposed to be a mini version, not as long as the other episodes that we will be doing with other members of the community.
That's right. We will, like in future episodes, we will always have a guest on the podcast, and we've already actually recorded our first conversation, which
will be the second episode that you guys get to listen to.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we've got a couple of conversational topic questions.
And by the way, that's
For each other.
something that we'll try to do in every episode. So ask our guests like 2 or 3 questions to kind of get to know them better. So that's what we're doing here now with each other.
Yeah, and to let the listeners get to know them better.
That's right. You start? Or do you want me to ask first?
I'll ask.
Okay.
So, how do you drink your coffee and why?
Oh, interesting.
I know the answer. Well, I don't.
Well, so I usually don't care what kind of coffee is because a lot of times I can't taste the difference. But there are obviously different ways of making coffee. You know, we can have a normal coffee machine or a French press, which we've used in the recent months. But my favorite is, which we are using now, the pour over. I like the way you make it. Like it's very intentional, like pouring the water like in circles and very slowly. You taught me as a former barista, and it is, I don't know, it is less like oily and acidic, I feel like. So the taste is very, very balanced. sound like a total like.
Now, do you
pro.
Do you drink black?
I don't.
I know.
So this is the thing. I like my coffee with milk. And so whenever Brittany...
But just...
Hold on. Whenever Brittany prepares my coffee, for some reason, she always pours way more milk in the cup than she knows I like. And it always happens, but you know I don't like as much milk.
He likes such a minuscule amount in it that you have to like trickle it in. And with a big fat jug of milk, it just splooshes out, you know?
So I have to drink some of the milk and then you can pour the coffee. Yeah, that's how I like my coffee. And you know what? Funny thing. My question to you is, how do you like your coffee?
Really?
Yeah, that's what I picked out.
Oh, so baby.
Is this going to be a coffee podcast?
Yeah. Changing gears.
All right.
I drink my coffee black.
There
we go.
Right.
Unless I'm like, I intentionally want to get a sweet frou-frou drink. I'm sorry I said that. Cut that out. I should not say that. I might offend somebody. You're gonna cut that out, right?
Yeah, we're not.
Please. Because they're yummy. They are.
Well, yeah, of course.
So unless I intentionally want to drink something that is sweet and delicious, I drink a delicious cup of black coffee. I threw in delicious cup of black coffee because I don't want it to sound like black coffee is disgusting, because it is not. It is so delicious. So delicious, especially if you prepare it in a delicious way.
And now that we're even sitting here with our coffee, tell me about your mug.
My mug is this awesome mug, speckled mug that I got from the museum here, the Susanville Historical Society Museum. Is that the official name? And it has a little image, a little sketch drawing of Roop's Fort on it, established 1854, which leads us into answering the question, why is it called Rooptown Stories?
Oh,
Daniel?
yes. Well, before Susanville was Susanville, it was called Rooptown.
After the founder.
Isaac Roop was the founder of the town. And more on that in the next episode.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. Do you have another question?
Were you looking? Oh, I didn't write my questions down.
Yeah, that's right.
My other question for you is, would you highly recommend that your friends and family in Germany come and live in Susanville? Move here like us.
Move here. I think it depends on the friend and member of the family. You know, there are some, we've talked about that before. There are some of my friends who I could see thrive here, who would really like it. But then there's also friends or family members that would have a hard time. Just even like with the language or just with the way of life, because it is quite different from German.
I wanted to say earlier when you were talking about Susanville, having that small town vibe, I wanted to bring up the story about when your boss and his daughter visited. Is that okay to share?
Oh, yeah, totally. I'm sure.
They visited in October for a few days, and Daniel was giving them a tour around the town, and they were taking pictures of houses. To us, these houses look normal and just normal houses. This is what you live in. But they were taking pictures of our American houses because for them, they look so unique and beautiful and different than what they see in their country. And so I point that out so that everyone, after maybe you listen to this, you can drive around and look at these normal, boring houses with new eyes. Because if you're not from this culture, they are totally awesome. They have this total American small town feel.
I love it.
That maybe, you can't really put your finger on if you are from here or have really only lived here, which isn't a bad thing if you've only lived here your whole life. But know that the whole world is not like this. There are wonderful things about Susanville that maybe you're just used to.
That's right. Yeah. Talking about small town. So when I made the podcast jingle, do you call that a jingle? I try to make it sound like small town. Does it sound like small town to you? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Does. That's nice. Good. I achieved my goal.
Don't you have another question for me?
Yes, I do have another question for you. Excuse me. When you're home alone and nobody else is around, how do you like to spend your time?
Sitting on the couch reading a book or a magazine.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
And, okay, what would you, if the kids and I were out of town, how would you spend your day in Susanville? What would you do in Susanville?
Sit on the couch and read a book.
No, not in our home. Not in our home. What would you do?
Can I tell a funny story?
Yes.
I don't know how funny it is, but years ago when I worked at a certain coffee shop here, there was a lady who came through. We got a lot of like people driving through. There was a lady who was here, I don't know, working for a bank, doing some kind of survey or something. I don't know. And she was from New York. Did I say that already?
No.
She was from New York. And she asked us, what do you guys do here? And one of my coworkers said, I read a lot. I was just, yep.
Well, that's a good thing to do. Like, it's a good way to spend your time. It might not be the most exciting thing for a lady from New York, but Susanville offers a lot. And
I mean, honestly, if I lived in New York, I'd probably just find a coffee shop and go read a book.
Read a book?
Or go to a museum or something.
Okay. So, as you might have found out, this podcast is about books and coffee. Okay. Well,
all right, everybody.
That was
Thanks
fun.
for listening.
And I also want to say that for me, at least, one of the reasons why I'm making this podcast too is to have a nice project to work on with my wife. Because when you have kids and you live your everyday life, sometimes it can feel, you live in this.
We don't want the only shared thing we have to be our kids, right?
Yeah.
That's a great shared thing to have.
It is, but it's nice to work on a project together and to brainstorm and come up with ideas and to make this happen.
Correct.
That's right.
All right, everybody. So stay tuned for the next episode, which should be very interesting, historically speaking.
That's right.
And then the next episode after that should just be fun and interesting. And then the one after that, who knows? It could be you.
All right. Thanks so much for listening.
See ya.
Bye-bye.